I'm going to ask for a correction.
Commissioners, as soon as we go live, we'll go. Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the Sweetwater County Board of County Commissioners meeting Tuesday, January 4th of 2020. Call this meeting to order. There is a quorum present. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then please stay standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Our first order of business is approval of the agenda. Commissioners will do a motion to approve, and then if we need to amend the agenda, we'll do that after a second. So this time I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion or amendment?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Commissioner,
I believe there should be a
Coleman.
correction on item. It should be approval to advertise for temporary fire personnel, not hire.
I believe you're right. When I looked at that, I thought it was the same thing. So that would be a correction with, I'll look at that and see what tab that is, Commissioner Tolman. Okay, it would be tab K, request to advertise. Help me out, Commissioner Tolman.
Request to advertise for a seasonal fire.
Very good.
Crew.
Thank you. Request to advertise for seasonal fire. We have an amendment for tab K that it should read for request. Is that a motion, Commissioner?
Yes.
We have a motion to amend the agenda under tab K to read request to request to advertise for seasonal firefighters. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shanefield. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other amendments, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lloyd.
yeah, I'd like to make an amendment that we remove tab H today due to Mr. McLean not being here to present.
Thank you. We have a request to amend the agenda to remove tab H, which is a request approval of Chapter 2 Employees Manual Policy Amendments. Is there a second?
I would second that, Chairman.
Second by Commissioner Tolman. Any further discussion? I would just like to comment that I would hope that Chapter 2 would be ready for the next meeting, if the commissioners are agreeable.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other amendments, commissioners? Commissioner Tolman, question for you. Will there be anything under pre-decisional for executive session?
We may have a short one under county fire for contract.
Is that pre-decisional or personnel or
Contract.
contracts?
Contracts.
All right, so you would amend the agenda under executive sessions to add contracts?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That's a motion?
Yes.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Tolman to add under executive session a number 2, which is contracts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shanefield. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Again, back to original question, Commissioner Toman, will you have anything under pre-decisional?
No, not at this
All
time.
right, so we'll need to amend the agenda to remove pre-decisional under executive session. Is there a motion?
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Toman has moved that we remove pre-decisional under executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lloyd. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Commissioners. Now back to the original. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda, which includes the, I believe, 4 amendments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What do you think of that, Commissioner Lloyd? I hear you
I'm
chuckle.
perplexed, but it was a great moving part there.
Oh, that's funny. I heard you laugh down there and I figured that's what it was. That's good. All right. Next up is election of chairman. And like we do every year, there's that opportunity for us to change and elect a new chairman to basically help organize the agenda with Ms. Shoemaker out of the clerk's office, our administrative secretary, as well as facilitate the meetings, as well as make recommendations for board appointments as they come up, as well as do liaison assignments. So those are the primary duties. I'm sure there's other things that come with them, but that's primarily where we're at. So anyhow, with that, we generally take a little bit of time to find out who's interested in that. So I guess I'm just going to start right down the row, and I'm going to look at Commissioner Smith and say, Commissioner Smith, what's your thoughts?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. And yeah, I'm very interested in being chairman for the year. I would like to look at the kind of the overall picture of things, perhaps change things up a little bit with liaisons or try to streamline things a little bit for us. But I do think that it is also something that can a delegatable position. So I think that we, the 5 of us that work together, it's important that we're more a part of not quite so segmented. So like with the liaison work is something that I think that I know a lot about the hospital, but I don't share very much of that with all of you. So perhaps we can change things up a little bit and make things different. But yeah, last year when I was asked to do it, COVID and work was just crazy busy and no good. And while we still have COVID, it's kind of normal now. It's going to become our new normal. So be very interested in doing that and would enjoy the support of my fellow commissioners if that was their pleasure.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Anybody have any questions for Commissioner Smith? All right, thank you. Let's go, Commissioner Lloyd.
Okay. But all right, hey, yeah, I would be actually very interested also in being the chairman. I think this is a really talented group of people, and there are 5 people that are more than capable of being the chairman up here. I think what I bring to the table is a little bit different. I probably don't have as much experience in running bigger meetings as some of the other folks do, and but I know I can learn and develop that skill. But I think what I brought is I've been kind of a workhorse on this commission. I've not missed a commission meeting. I've only missed 1 intergovernmental meeting. I've made 90 to 95% of my liaison meetings. I believe I've also been a catalyst to change. We've started some strategic planning, which was led by Commissioner Seinfeld and I, but we've also helped develop a capital committee. We've and how we do capital projects differently. We've recently changed how I led a committee and how we'll be doing dollar requests from outside agencies to help budget and plan in a more effective way. I also think the other thing I bring is a presence. I think I'm one of the more present commissioners at the building and in relationships with other people. And I think that's a huge thing. And in talking to current Chairman Wendling, and also former Chairman Reed West, who I reached out to get some information about being chair, I think one of the biggest things is not just running the meeting. I think it's about what happens behind the scenes and having relationships and having people be able to come and talk to you and having a presence. And I think over my time through my work efforts that as a commissioner and my presence has shown that I would be very strong in that. I also think I agree with Commissioner Smith and the fact that I do believe I have some ideas to streamline and move things a little differently. And I think I've shown that throughout my entire commission run. So that's why I think I would be a great chairman. So
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. Any questions for Commissioner Lloyd? Okay, Commissioner Shanefield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is different than last year because we went down the road and we're like, no, not this year. I don't know this year. I feel like I've got my feet under me, and I feel like I've been doing a lot of work at the state level with the Wyoming Business Council, with the Wyoming County Commissioners Association, also representing us, Wyoming, with the NACO task force, and being the chairperson on that broadband council for the state as well. So I think that I'd really like to continue that work. And also I think that that would be help me and help us build on some of that to represent Sweetwater County at a state level. As the chair, I know that Chairman Wendling and I spoke a little bit about just the state level activities and really bringing Sweetwater County to the table there. I know that I've been able to work very closely with Commissioner Lloyd in working through a lot of very strong relationships here. I agree with what both Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Lloyd have said about streamlining things and really instead of being in such small silos and focusing on very specific things, that it would be beneficial for us to all have a little bit more information across the board. And so I'm definitely interested. I'm open to any questions as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Shanefield. Questions? Thank you. Commissioner Tillman.
Okay. I campaigned on the premise of vote for experience, and by that I meant leadership experience and issues experience, which I have an extensive background in the county, over 20 years in county government with the Conservation District. I feel I'm uniquely qualified maybe to be the next chairman if my fellow commissioners would so desire. I had 2 National Graduate Leadership Fellowships for 4 years. I attended Colorado State University on intense leadership fellowships. I worked for the Montana Vocational Advisory Committee as director of 30-member board. I was chairman of the Wyoming Vocational Advisory Committee. I was named outstanding member of the National Federal Regulatory Fairness Board, which provided oversight on federal regulations that affect small business. I was elected and served 21 years on the Conservation District, 17 years as chairman, protecting the tax base and our custom and culture as per statute by participating in thousands of hours of federal pre-decisional planning meetings with the federal agencies, the BLM, the Forest Service, the Ashley, the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area, and all of the federal BLM plans that affected the county, the Rollins BLM RMP, the Pinedale, the Kemmer, and we're working through our current Rock Springs resource management plan. I helped develop a land and resource use plan and updated it 3 times through the public process and filed it with the clerk's office. Co-founded a 5-county coalition of local governments of commissioners and conservation districts, and have been on that executive committee for since the inception, over 17 years, dealing with the federal issues that affect our county. I was 2 times chairman of the Wyoming Landscape Conservation Initiative. Although natural resource leaders in the state, BLM, Game and Fish, Department of Ag, USGS, commissioners, Conservation District, that cooperatively worked and continues to work to provide habitat projects in 19 million acres of southwest Wyoming to offset the mineral development. They changed their bylaws to elect me to a 2nd term as chairman. I've become involved in the Wyoming County Commission Association and was appointed to the Public Lands National Committee at NACO. What does chairmanship mean to me? It means being committed, spending the time to do the follow-up and the follow-through that require a major amount of time outside of regular meetings. That That's a crucial part as far as I'm concerned, and I am committed to spending the time to do what needs to be done. The key issues I see are balancing a budget and being prepared for downturns in the economy, in maintaining the quality services that we're accustomed to and the levels of staffing in this county. That is paramount to me. Being on top of the big issues of facing the county are really going to be crucial. For example, the governor has signed a temporary suspension on the closure of Unit 2 of the Jim Bridger Power Plant. And we are sitting here as a commission with no communication from the governor's office. I have a call into Randall Luthi. It's key. We have got to stay on top of the big issues, the Colorado River, the Green River. Yes, we have the day-to-day bills to approve and the working with the department heads and the elected. That's very important. But the bigger issues that affect our economy, that's what we have to stay ahead of. Supporting our mineral industries, our trona, and working to diversify our economy will be important. Our airport is key in keeping that service. And I've asked Devin to be here today to give us an update and to help us draft a letter of support for continued air service to Rock Springs, so he can address that a little better. I feel communication is key to developing a long-term vision for this county. We have got to get beyond what's right in front of us and look to the long term. What do we see down the road? How can we prepare for that? And we are not the experts. We've got to reach out, and I've been reaching out to the ambulance committee and we're working as looking at the long-term fire, maybe waste management. What are the big issues? The joint communication. What are the big issues that are really facing us, and how are we going to address them, and more than just for the moment? So that's what I see as a vision if I'm selected as your next chairman. I do have this job as #1 priority in my life right now. And so I am committed to doing the time that it takes to do what is best for the county. And I feel I have the leadership skills to provide that. And I don't discount my fellow commissioners. We're all very intelligent, smart people, and I will support whatever we decide. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Commissioner Tillman? Not any. So with that, chairman's up.
Well, you haven't given your speech, if I may interrupt.
Oh, I'll tell you what, if I got a speech. No, I don't have a speech. I'm going to live by what I always believed. And I said it 2 years ago, and I said it a year ago. I believe this group, everybody should have and should take the opportunity to be a chairperson and that type of thing, and find out what it's really about. So I'll look at all 4 of you and I'll say, you know, I'll help anybody, but at the same token, I will not meddle, and that type of thing. I think all of you have a very valid vision and that type of thing. So with that being said, I'm going to step out of the norm. I'm going to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to call a recess.
I guess that's allowed, isn't it?
If the chairman chooses to have a recess, you can have.
Purpose of the recess?
Privileged purpose, recess.
There is a motion can be made or a request for recess can be made.
Okay.
And then
Okay, so it's just the time to take a break, right? Basically, what is a recess for?
Yeah, take a break.
any time you have scheduled recesses and you can,
They're like a break.
yep, just a break.
Okay, so somebody needs a coffee break or bathroom break or water break. So how long a recess would you like?
10 minutes.
All right, it's 10 minutes to 9. We will be back here at 9 o'clock after recess. Thank you. Okay, I'll bring us back to from recess, and I believe where we were on the agenda was to again nominate a new chairman, and we have been through all the chairman or people that were interested or commissioners interested in the chairman's seat, and believe it or not, we got an 80% off of the quorum interested. 20% is more than happy to yield. And with that, as chairman, I'm going to start it out and see where it shakes out. And I'm going to make a motion that we approve Commissioner Shanefield as chair. Commissioners, you have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Got a second by Commissioner Shanefield. Any further discussion? All those in favor will go roll call vote. Start out. Commissioner Lloyd.
No.
Point of order.
Yes.
Did you call for any other nominations? I believe you called
there
for
was
it
not
3
a-
times.
Point of order. That was not a motion to nominate. It was a motion to approve the appointment. So. Commissioner Toman.
No.
Roll call vote. No?
No.
Commissioner Smith.
Not personal.
No. Commissioner Shanefield.
Yes.
All right. Well, the motion fails. So I said I'd start it out. And I did.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Shanefield.
I will make a motion for Commissioner Smith to be chairman.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Shanefield to appoint Commissioner Smith as chairman. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Well, I was going to if you weren't. So we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote again. Commissioner Shanefield,
Yes.
Commissioner Toman,
No.
Commissioner Lloyd,
No.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Wendling. Yes, motion carries 3-2. With that, I will pass the gavel. If you pass me your name tag. Oh, Sally, are they
It's okay. We'll
here? Yeah, I know, but can you get mine out? And we don't have to do it right now. There you go. This one in top. We'll put chairman in top, leave mine, and I'll use his.
You want to trade seats, Doc?
Chairman. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Just put it right there like that, or set it in the groove and it'll set up top. There you go.
Look at that.
Okay. With that, Commissioner Smith, congratulations, and I hope everybody will support Commissioner Smith as we venture forward. And at this point in time, I will yield the floor to you, knowing that our next agenda item is approval of the minutes. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Former Chairman. Wasn't expecting to take over right now, maybe end of the meeting or something, but here we go. So next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the December 21st regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And I will abstain. I was not at that meeting, so I'll not approve those minutes. So please note that. On to tab B, approval of the acceptance of the bills. We have EALs, bonds, and abates rebates. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the acceptance of bills, which are the approval of the EALs, approval of the bonds, and approval of the abates and rebates.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up, county resident concerns and comments. A little behind schedule on that, but I'm sure if there's anybody here who would like to speak, come up to the podium and make yourself known.
Chairman Smith, Commission. Hello, my name is Stephanie Thompson. I am the Community News Director for Sweetwater Now. The reason I wanted to speak to you guys today is I just wanted to let you know that even though I know we're not legally can't put in a bid in on the legals, I did want you to let know that last year there was some legislation that went before the Wyoming legislature, and it was trying to get that language put into a bill to allow no newspaper digital publications such as ourselves to be allowed to put in a bid. That legislation did not pass last year. Obviously, they had more important things to do with the whole COVID pandemic. However, I do believe that that legislation will be coming again this year. And the reason why I'm here today is I just wanted to ask for your support in that. We will be reaching out to local legislators, asking them to support that. All we're asking for is an opportunity. We are a small locally owned business. And just like the newsprint papers, we would like to be able to put a bid in on legals. And the only way we can do that is to have that legislation changed. If you guys have any questions, or I don't even know what bills they're going to be, I know that they're going to be coming forward. I would be happy to send any information you want on those bills and get you up to date. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Stephanie. Any questions or comments?
All right, thank you.
Oh, hang on, don't leave.
Not so quick.
Don't leave.
You got one?
Yeah, well, I don't know if questions or comments, but I believe that legislation that came forward just was to change some terminology, amend that statute so that online and stuff could be used and that type of thing.
Mhm.
That legislation came out from, I think, mostly the WCCA and the WAM started that and sponsored it. And I believe if there's an opportunity, they'll sponsor it again and be highly supported by, it was last year by WCCA. I don't know, I won't know until we get to our legislative conference this year as to whether or not that'll have that same amount of support and that type of thing. But rest assured, I think we have, as a commission, even before I was on, had talked about this being a thing that needed to be changed. And so, keep us posted, but at the same token, I believe in the past, we as a board have supported that. I don't think that's changed if I ask my fellow commissioners. So since it hasn't, yeah, we think that should be allowed and we think it should be changed. The problem they ran into at the legislature was the small towns and the, hate to say it, but the legislators who come from those small communities, that they made a decision based on economics for keeping those papers open. Mr. Martin's here with the Green River Star, and I believe he presented a good case and wrote a good article as to why, that legislation probably should stay the way it is, and that type of thing. So there's good sides from both of it, but it'll be an interesting discussion. So.
Oh, for sure it will be.
All right.
And I understand where those small local newspapers are coming from. I understand that. But in that particular bill, there was legislation allowing them to
Sure.
still go with the local newspaper. So at
Choice.
that point, it's still up to the choice of the individual boards. And all we're asking for is the same opportunity that they have. And at this point, we don't have that.
We agree.
All right. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Cindy, have anything? No great emails from our residents? Okay. Thank you then. Tab C, we're moving on. Commissioner Tolman with our air service letter.
I would, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that Devin be allowed to give the airport report and kind of explain why we have asked for this letter of support for air service to Rock Springs.
Please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So specifically on the letter that's before you, the ARPA funding that the state of Wyoming has received, the $1 billion+ there was a list of prioritized projects, the Drive and Thrive projects listed on the governor's website. Under Goal 2, the very last item on Goal 2 on that website was air service funding. It was around $17 million for funding for air service in Riverton, Rock Springs, Sheridan, and Gillette. And that funding is specifically was geared towards filling in the overruns that have been seen caused by COVID with air service. There's a combination of things that have happened in the industry. Obviously, passenger numbers have dropped significantly. The passenger numbers, or the passengers that are flying, are paying far less per ticket on average than what they were prior to the pandemic. And that's largely because the business travel has not returned, and business travelers pay a higher fare on average because they book closer in and they book during the week, not over a weekend and things like that. So for example, our average fare on our minimum revenue guarantee before the pandemic was around $96. That was our average fare, one-way fare. This last quarter, it was around $76. So you take a reduction in passengers and you multiply that reduction in passengers, whatever that number is, by the average fare, it gives you a lot less revenue towards the minimum revenue guarantee. So what WYDOT did is they submitted a request to the governor's office for ARPA funding to backstop the CPA, if you will, the capacity purchase agreement. The initial budget recommendation for the ARPA funds from the governor's office to the legislature back in December did not include this funding. This letter basically is from the commission just saying we support this funding and we ask that you include this in the process. And I believe Commissioner Toman has ensured that we've CC'd all of our legislators, because it's really in the legislature's hands at this point, because it's just like the regular budget where it's been presented to the legislature, to the Joint Appropriations Committee, and now it's up to them to decide where they're putting that funding. So really the letter is about just backstopping the CPA so that there's enough funding for the long-term viability of the program and long-term viability of air service in each of our communities. So hopefully that answers that specifically about that letter, and I'd be happy to pause, let you deal with that if you'd like, and then do my regular update unless there's questions.
I would make a motion to send a letter to the governor and the legislative members regarding, what do you want to call it, Devin?
Regarding ARPA air service funding.
ARPA air service funding.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Questions for Devin or about the letter?
Devin, or Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, Devin, what, if this isn't backstopped, what happens?
So if this isn't backstopped, the CPA will run out of money sooner than what we had planned, the capacity purchase agreement. So 2018, if I remember correctly, Senate File 40, working on my Rolodex there, is what approved the capacity purchase agreement. And it was funded with $15 million at that point. The initial plan was for that the initial promise made by a former WYDOT director was for that to last 10 years. That was never going to happen, first of all. So that former WYDOT director has since left WYDOT, and now we're dealing with a situation that we were going to be lucky if it lasted 7 years. With COVID, we're going to be lucky if it lasts 5 years. So basically, we'd have to go back to the legislature and ask for more money from somewhere within the state. So it's our request to use ARPA funding because it can be contributed to COVID. It can be directly related to COVID, and it fits the eligibility basically. So, and we understand the proposals that were out there were fantastic. There's a lot of great proposals, specifically even to Sweetwater County with the Rock Springs uplift and the hydrogen hub and all those other things. So we want to make sure all these things get funded, but air service is absolutely critical. If we have a Rock Springs uplift commercialization, if we have hydrogen hub, we got to have air service to support those industries that are here. So it's really important.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, a call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? We have the letter approved for signature.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would ask that Sally reprints that letter again on our letterhead and have the chairman signed, or not signed, but changed.
We can do that.
Yeah, and I think we have a number of other documents that are coming up for the rest of our meeting that the chairman may have to be signed or changed, Sally. So just point of order. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Commissioner Toman, anything else?
No, I would say, let Mr. Brubaker give his airport update.
Okay, on to tab D then, and the Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport update from Mr. Brubaker.
All right,
Devin.
Mr. Chairman, commissioners, I will try to catch you up on some time here if I can. Depends on how many questions you have for me. So I want to give you an update on a couple things. It's been a while since I've been before you to just do a general update. So here I am. The first item, big topic of conversation is our commercial terminal modernization project. We are well underway on construction. Barring weather delays, we should have a significant 200 plus yard concrete pour tomorrow on foundation walls on the east expansion. So that we're pretty excited for that. As everybody has experienced, I think probably in everybody's life, supply chain and labor shortages are wreaking havoc on every construction project. And we're experiencing that with both of our projects we have ongoing right now. So we're battling through those. It is resulting in increased project costs. We're working through the funding on that. We have been working with the Business Council on ARPA funding to help backstop COVID-related increases. And we're also working with the FAA on additional funding resources and as well as YDOT. So this isn't new to our project. This is every single project that's out there. We do have a GMP, a guaranteed maximum price, because we did utilize a construction manager at risk delivery method. But as with most contracts, there's a force majeure clause in these contracts. So we're working through how that impacts the GMP, because there's a lot of things that are truly out of the contractor's control. So we're approaching our projects. We always approach our projects in a partnership mindset. We want our contractors to be successful. We want the airport to be successful. So we're working through it together as a team and looking for ways that we can find funding without coming to you all. And I want to make sure that's clear, that we're not coming to the city and the county asking for money for this. We're working on all the other avenues, and the contractor's committed to working with us in a partnership form, and we're committed to working with them. So I did get a preliminary updated schedule yesterday on the terminal project, and they are still committed to completing it on schedule on December of 2022. So I think there was something published yesterday that said October 2022, and that is not correct. It's December 2022 is when the project will be completed. So as of now, they're still maintaining that schedule. We got steel delivery yesterday, a first load of steel delivery yesterday. So as soon as they get a 10-day break on the concrete that proves its strength, they'll be able to start going vertical on the east expansion. So, and that's the big expansion where the hold room and the baggage claim and everything else will be. So happy to show you all. It's a little windy and cold and snow covered up at the airport, but if anybody wants to come up and see the project, just let me know. I'm happy to show you around that project. One of the other things with that project that I'm really, really proud of for our airport is for decades, there's been a lot of discussion about the lack of water to the airport, but nobody's really talked about the lack of sewer to the airport or from the airport. They kind of go hand in hand with each other. And for years, when a new building was built or a new area of the airport was developed, they would just throw in a new leach field and septic system. to the point where we had 5 leach fields and septic systems on our property, all within a very small area. We started to recognize that as we continue to grow the airport, that the EPA and the DEQ are going to say, you can't keep doing this. This is not okay. So what we ended up doing is we made the decision that instead of installing a new leach field and facility for just the terminal, that we went ahead and added to the project an entire airport sewer septic system. It's a low pressure system, so we'll be pumping sewage from our facilities to a central septic system on the north side of the field that's not in a place that could be developed. It's terrain, has terrain issues. So we're going to put the leach field there, the septic system there, and it's built so it can be expanded. We can add tanks, we can add leach field rows. We can actually even insert a treatment, package treatment facility in the middle of it down the road as we grow. So it's designed to expand as things happen instead of building a new leach field every time we build a building. As part of this, we had to get a UIC permit from DEQ. It's in public comment right now. We should have that in our hands in the next 30 days. They've already started work on the low pressure piping and the pumping system. And once a UIC permit's received, we'll put the septic system in. And over the next couple of years, we'll tie all the other facilities on the property into that single facility instead of having all of these different injection locations. So it was awesome to be able to include that in the project because it now opens up where we can truly develop every acre of our property. The only thing in our way at this point is water. So, and we know we are working on that diligently with the Middle Baxter project. So I'm pretty excited about where the future goes with this. So I'll jump into the next project we're working on wrapping up, our snow removal equipment building. It's a 24,000 square foot vehicle maintenance and storage facility. It's about $5.13 million. It was supposed to be done at end of October. We'll be happy if it's done by end of February. It's once again, the supply chain and labor issues have been wreaking havoc on the projects. But this project was 96.5% grant funded. And so we're pretty excited to have this facility. It replaces a snow removal equipment building that was built about 10 years ago. And that building is going to be converted to aircraft hangar space as a revenue generating facility. We've already signed the contract for that as well. So that'll add 8,000 square foot of hangar space, which is really important because this winter we are 112% reserved on hangar space. So we really need additional hangar space. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Devin, when you say you're already contracted, you mean that building's got a contract to handle planes right now and start getting revenue dollars?
yes.
As soon as it's empty?
Yes.
Wow. Thank you.
Yep.
Wow.
So we're growing in certain areas, and I'll talk about some statistics here in a little bit of other areas where we're struggling because of the pandemic. But a couple other projects that we're working on wrapping up is this is something that we're really excited for. I'm excited for is we entered into a solar feasibility study to study all of our available land on our property of what parcels might make sense based on utility infrastructure, location, FAA requirements, FAA regulations, and the developability of the land for aeronautical purposes. And the study is coming out. We're working on phase 2 right now. Phase 1's complete, and that was looking at all the infrastructure and all the locations, wildlife corridors, all those different kinds of things. Phase 2 is going to really look at what the market is for the land, what the fair market value is, what type of developers would be interested in it. And the end goal, and I've stood before you for many years now, coming up on 7 years, telling you we're going to get to the point eventually where we're not asking you for money. And that's still our goal. Jeff heard it as, Chairman, you've heard it as when you were our liaison. Mary, you've heard it as our liaison. It's our goal to get to the point where we're not coming and asking for money every year. So we have land that we cannot develop for aeronautical purposes. So why not lease it out to somebody that can put something on it that generates revenue and then pays us for the land? And then that helps us drive our self-sustainability goals. So we're excited for that. The goal would be that later this year now, I got to get used to saying this year instead of next year. This year, we will be issuing RFIs and RFPs once this study is done to secure a private developer. It'll be a multi-year process. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's going to include BLM. It's going to include FAA. It's going to include Rock Springs Grazing Association, because we have to get the transmission lines from the airport to other transmission lines. Right now, that doesn't exist. So there's going to have to be some partnerships and things that happen to make this happen over the next couple of years. But long term, it's an excellent opportunity for airports, especially with the federal funding. Whether you like it or not, the federal funding that's available for renewables right now, it incentivizes private developers to maybe make this investment. So we're pretty excited for it. The seat base was operational last winter. We're going to be going into our second year. Phenomenal success last year. There was a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of growing pains, but it was the first year. So, and it's the first seat base in the country that was designed the way it was, where we were the launch pad for the entire country. So they had to learn how to operate out of this new style, environmentally safe seat base, which they did really well. So we're excited for that to start back up here, likely April, May timeframe, depending on the fire season. Obviously, fire seasons are now turning into fire years, as we saw down in Colorado. So we'll see what the future holds with that. We're pretty excited about the partnerships that it's offered. I've been over at the seat base and I've seen city firefighters, I've seen county firefighters, I've seen fire district firefighters. They're working the seat base. So it's an opportunity for the agencies to work together and cross train and learn. So it's really neat to see that. The last project related item that just want to point out is, I think you're all aware, we opened up a new fuel farm a little over a year ago in December of 2020. Getting my years all mixed up already, 4 days in. So we doubled the size of our fuel farm compared to what our old fuel farm was. And it was based on the idea that we're growing and we need to have the additional capacity to make sure that we don't run out of fuel. Little did I ever expect that we would run into monumental fuel shortage issues this last summer. There was, I can safely say, every airport in the state of Wyoming and almost every airport in the region ran out of fuel or restricted fuel purchases at least once this summer, except for Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport. We had enough storage capacity and we saw the writing on the wall about the impending shortage. So we were very proactive and ordered fuel in advance. Normally we hedge our fuel purchases. You know, we're buying 500,000 gallons of jet fuel, 50,000 gallons of avgas a year on average. And so we normally hedge our purchases to maximize our margins. But in this case, it was not a matter of making sure we made margin. It was a matter of making sure we had fuel. And so we were able to maintain, we never dropped below 30,000 gallons of jet fuel on hand throughout the whole fuel shortage issue. So we were happy to work with the governor's office to get an executive order to eliminate service hour requirements for tanker drivers. That helped other airports around the state, but I worked very hard with YDOT and the governor's office to get that pushed through, and thankful to Governor Gordon for making that happen. So that's all I have on the projects. So maybe if it's all right with you, Mr. Chairman, if there's any questions, answer those, and then I'll jump into some quick stats, and I'm trying to hurry so you guys can get back on schedule.
Questions or comments?
I would just like to comment that Devin was nominated was awarded Director of the Year, Airport Director of the Year 2 times. And also this airport, wasn't it the project winner for the year?
Yeah, we won Project of the Year for the seat base as well.
So we're lucky. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll jump into some statistics for you, and I can share these if you guys want them in writing. I can provide them to you when I get back to the office. But obviously, the pandemic has just wreaked havoc on our industry, and our passenger levels, I hinted at it earlier about the letter. In 2021, we just wrapped it up. We were up 67.3% compared to 2020. Sounds great, but compared to 2019, we're still down. We were still down 34.8%. And just to remind you, 2019 was our third straight year of record growth. From 2016 to 2019, we had grown passengers by 57%. So we were all the way up to almost busting our record of 2012 passenger numbers. And that was likely to happen in 2020 because we were adding a third daily flight in 2020, and then the pandemic hit. So we lost 2 flights, went down to a single flight for most of the pandemic, and that really hurt us on the passenger numbers and obviously the MRG and everything else. 2022 is still looking difficult. Omicron is causing problems, not just with consumer confidence, it's causing problems with business travel. We still don't have business travel back. And in our community, we've lost the business travel of Schlumberger, Halliburton, and some of those other larger companies that were filling a lot of seats. And even the school districts, if you look at the school districts in the college, they're not traveling the way they used to. So those seats are gone as well. So we're really struggling to keep the demand coming back. There's been a couple glimmers of hope. November, we were only down, I think, 9% compared to 2019. December, I haven't done the hard math yet, but it'll be about 20%, I believe. And some of that has to do with some of the industry-wide challenges that we're facing with crew shortages and employee shortages, which I'll talk about here in a second. Another area that is actually doing well due to the pandemic is cargo levels. So a lot of people forget that we also have air cargo that operates out of the airport. We have FedEx, UPS that operate 6 days a week out of the airport. 2021 versus 2020 was up 12.7%. 21 versus 2019 up 5.5%. So 2020 there was a dip, and then 2021 there's been a big enough increase that it's even higher than 2019. Jet fuel sales 2021 versus 2020, these are calendar year numbers, not fiscal year numbers. We were up 15% compared to 2020. 2021 versus 2019 on jet fuel, we were down by 12.5%. So we're still below where we were in 2019, which was our best year. We were 493,000 gallons of jet fuel. So we're still down compared to that, but we're recovering. Avgas this was an ugly number, and I can explain the situation with that. 2021 versus 2020, down 33.9%. 2021 versus 2019, down 21.9%. And that's largely due to a couple things. Number one, last summer, for 3 months, we had USGS doing aerial surveys, flying 2 planes twice a day, doing aerial photography and survey work. And so they were buying an enormous amount of fuel. So that's why we were down significantly. And Avgas, it goes into the smaller planes. As Commissioner Toman knows, she used to buy it for her aircraft. That goes into the smaller single engine aircraft, some of the smaller twin engine aircraft. It's very price sensitive. There's a price elasticity in the market. As the price gets higher, people don't fly for pleasure as often. So they don't come fly the pattern on the weekends. They don't go fly to get $100 burger somewhere on the weekends. They just don't do that anymore because they can't afford $5, $6, $7 gallon of gas. We were selling gas at the height of the pandemic, Avgas down in the low $3 range. It's now almost $5.50 a gallon and likely to be even higher than that in the future. So it's very price sensitive, and that's why we're down there. We don't sell that much of it, quite honestly. This year we might sell 40,000 gallons of it. So it's less than 10% of what we sell in jet fuel. Still important to our operation, and those customers are important to us, but it doesn't make a big bottom line impact when those numbers fluctuate at those levels. One area that I'm really excited about, we hinted at the hangar situation. Our hangar revenue 2021 versus 2020 was up 21.7%, basically about $46,000. 2021 versus 2019 was up 241%. This year, 2022, it will be up considerably higher than that as well. As I mentioned, we are over 100% leased on our hangar space, and there is demand for additional hangar space. So if I had an extra $3 or $4 million laying around, we'd be building a 30,000 square foot hangar right next to the big one we already have. So right now, we're not doing that because we don't have the financial resources, but it's in the cards in the future. And then the last thing I want to address, and I'll get out of your hair here, is the recent industry challenges that are happening.
Devin,
Yes.
could point of order here? We have some extracurricular activity going on. Could we take a pause for a moment, please? Thank you. Carry on.
Yes. Just, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Just for the record to inform you, I don't know what the purpose is, but we've gone into a lockdown. I would ask that we take a break at this moment, Mr. Chairman, and turn the video off, please. Mr. Chairman, is that okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.